as I've been saying for many weeks, it's going to be a pleasure meeting him, and we just have, and he's a very distinguished gentleman, Charlton Heston, and we've been playing this clip, and it looks tremendous, Motherlode.
Well, thank you, Dennis. It's awful nice to be here and borrow your audience for a while.
Well, thank you. I know you're the director of the show, and this is your second
As director, yes.
picture you've directed. How long did it take?
Well, we shot exactly on schedule in 8.5 weeks, including a fairly extensive second unit, which, of course, that was crucial. It's surprising how many directors today don't understand that you not only get better action stuff if you give the second unit to a second unit director, but you get a chance then to spend time with the actors. And Joe Cannot, whose dad directed the chariot race in Ben-Hur, and who's worked with me in dozens of films as a stuntman and stunt coordinator, did the action, and I did the rest of it, and I think it turned out very well. We're very proud of it.
It's funny you just mentioned that. Ben-Hur will be playing here on Channel 5 next week, November 17th and 18th. We have all this set up.
No kidding.
Wednesday and Thursday from 1 to 3 p.m. Ben-Hur will play right here on Channel 5.
Well,
so
we have to check it out and see if I still win the chariot race.
That's one of the all-time greats. I remember you leaning over Stephen Boyd, and you just did him in, and I thought, all right. You know, those are all-time memories that you never forget, so you have a lasting impression. You have a lasting impression at the Caesar's Palace as well. Jan Miles, who's publicity director, she said, I just saw her today. The big fight's coming up with Boom Boom Mancini, tomorrow, incidentally, this being Friday morning. She said to be sure and show Chuck this picture.
Oh,
he
yes,
will remember it.
This is from last spring when I did a guest shot on Bob Hope's show with Larry Holmes. Yeah, that's that's funny. That's a marvelous shot.
We just had a picture of it on the screen. But anyway, Jan wanted you to have that because she thought that would bring back some memories.
Indeed.
Something else that just happened. I'm listening to the radio last night, and I've got Larry King on. He had the President Carter on, interviewing Carter on last night, so he takes a little respite in his book tour to go back on the radio. So he says, incidentally, you'll never believe what was happening. I had left Portland. Is that where you said you were at?
Yeah.
He's flying from Portland to Los Angeles, and he's in the same plane, he's saying, with Charlton Heston. He says, you can't believe this. We're up 24,000. I don't know what you're flying, and you're coming into LAX, and it's
just
like a...
to change planes.
To change planes, and I guess you went through some turbulence that was unbelievable.
A little bit, yeah.
And he said, what do I need this for? I don't need this anymore. And it was a great story, because I don't even know if anybody's told you about it yet. But
no, I knew Larry was on the plane. I
Yeah.
remember him. I've done his talk show many times in Miami.
But you hadn't heard the story?
No, I hadn't.
Yeah, well,
That's funny.
It was just last night, so it was.
Well, I hope he gave you the tag. By the time the plane landed, I had the weather all calmed down. It was clear as a bell. It was nothing, you know. You notice what a nice day we have here in Las Vegas?
That's right, you're right.
Glad to help out anytime.
He said something about when he took off, you said, God be with you, or something, and that's, I don't exactly...
No, I just said, don't worry.
But anyway, it was sort of funny, because I was thinking to myself, well, he's going to be on the show tomorrow, so I'll have to relate that story to you. You could probably appreciate it, but it was bad, right, the turbulence? Yeah,
at first, but we handled it, you know. It's not that tough. You just got to concentrate. Mind you, that was without that stick.
I don't know. We see a lot of you on the talk shows, and you're very active publicly and politically, and it's personally, I think, a very admirable thing. Somebody of your stature and character can take part in the politics of today, or what have you, and it's just, I think, to your credit, because not many people do. You're very learned, you're very knowledgeable, you have a great many fans in Las Vegas. I know politically and professionally who think your way, and I think it's very good.
Well, I hope that even those who disagree with me recognize that as American citizens we have a very valuable and precious right, very rare in the world, to speak out on public issues. Certainly there is one significant difference. If I speak out, or Jane Fonda or Paul Newman, why everybody photographs it and puts it on the TV news.
Right.
It seems to me that the only responsibility that imposes on us is we better be sure to have our minds in gear before we shoot our mouths off, and I try to do that.
Well, I think that's, every time I've heard those things that you've said, they have seemed spot on, and I have been, I have admired you very much for that. I had on Veterans Day yesterday, I had a Vietnam veteran on the show in celebration of Veterans Day.
High time, too.
Well, I was almost my exact sentiments. I said to him, I said, I can't think of anybody better than a Vietnam veteran to be on the show and to talk about Veterans Day, because we had a big parade here in Las Vegas, as you know, all over the country. And I told him, I said, I hope you can come back when I have more time, because I wanted to talk about the Washington Memorial, War Memorial, that there's been so much controversy about. But I said to him, I says, I don't know anything about the memorial that much, except for what I've seen. It looked good to me, and especially having all the names of the guys. I said, I thought that was fantastic. But I said, whatever I can do, or I have done, or will do, or anybody else, it never seems to be enough. And he was really terrific, and those are sort of my sentiments. And
Well, I think through the centuries, this country has displayed gratitude towards the men and women who have served in her defense. And I think there was a period in the early 70s when that was not true, when at least an element in the country didn't feel that way, but now that's changed, and I'm glad to know it.
Yeah, well, me too. I
was in Vietnam 3 times.
Pardon?
I was in Vietnam 3 times.
Is that right?
In the late 60s and early 70s.
I didn't know that.
There were some fine people there.
Yeah.
There really were.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. That's I told him I don't know of any greater contribution anybody can make than their life, and there were some 57,000 who did that. And you know, a life is a life, whether it's a Korean War or Vietnam or anything else. So, anyway,
Absolutely.
To say the least, it's a pleasure having you in Las Vegas. I have no idea of your itinerary, but I suppose it is.
It's brisk. Let's say it's brisk.
You are moving quite briskly. Now, today, Friday, you will be leaving Las Vegas and going on elsewhere.
No, we'll stay through the film is opening, as you said, at the Red Rock today.
Right.
And we'll stay through the evening. Las Vegas, after all, is a nice place to visit. And, I hope when I finish my interview schedule for Motherlode to get a chance for a little tennis, and then tomorrow we'll go back to California and see how many people have come to see the movie.
Well, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot. That's a great clip that was put together, incidentally. I've played it quite a few times here on page 5, and so if the movie is anything like that clip,
well, I think it's Motherlode has been pleasing audiences around the country. It's an adventure thriller of the kind that audiences seem to be in the mood for, and they seem to be willing to accept me as that dark and crafty Scot. That's as Fraser said, my son, when he gave me the script to consider the part, he said, I got to tell you, this fellow's a long way from Judah Ben-Hur. But the story works for audiences, and they laugh when we want them to laugh, and they jump when we want them to jump, and they're thrilled when we want them to be thrilled, and you can't ask for more.
No. Adventure and entertainment, that's the best you can do.
Marvelous thing that Frank Capra said last winter when we gave him the Life Achievement Award at the American Film Industry Institute dinner. And I guess it sums up the way I feel about making films. And it's never mind, you know, the awards are marvelous and all that, but he said it's a pleasure and a privilege and something of which you have to make yourself worthy. To be able to call people to sit together in the dark for 2 hours and let you tell them a story. That's
couldn't be told any better.
You bet.
That's fantastic. Where do you play tennis in Vegas, or do you move around?
I move around, you know. I've played at Caesar's Palace and the Hilton, all of the places. There's people are always very generous to me about finding someone to hit balls. Well, I can play with my son this trip. He's up today.
That's great.
Yeah.
Are the courts here comparable to some of the best?
Absolutely. There are fine courts in Vegas.
That's great. Charlton Heston, I wish you incredible success. You're a true American. You rank up there with the John Waynes and all the rest of them.
Well, thank you.
And it's a great pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks for loaning me your audience for a few minutes.
I'm sure they appreciate it, too. Thank you very much. Good luck on the movie, and I'm sure everybody will be by the Red Rock to see it.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll be right back with our next guest right after this word.